Hey everybody, here at WOMEX, I'm here with Batida, Pedro, who you've known, if you've been listening to my show, and if you've been listening to KEXP in general. I'm playing his work a lot, and he's consistently putting out work, and his narrative is really interesting. Your music is evolving in really interesting ways. It's not suddenly you're like moving into deep house or anything like that. You're like, okay, what can I do with the talent that I have? And it is of Portugal. It is also of South Africa. It's the Angola, Mozambique, Cape Verde. You're one of these interesting producers that is able to use metaphors of food. You create a really interesting stew that is of this, but it's got flavors and sounds that might not be directly, related to this country, because the thing that I like about your work is that you've been able to present an idea of what's happening here right now. Like, it's very current, it's very present. It's not nostalgic, and it's also not so far in the future where it's like, I don't quite know if I can, if I'm there, if I can hold on to something. Yeah. And the way you described the way you DJ and the relationship with the Nairobi or wherever, you're creating something that seems to connect people in an interesting way. So, tell me your story. How did you come to this, to produce, to make? A lot of DJs just like a DJ. How did you start producing, and what is your thought process in the music that you're making?
Yeah, it's great that you do metaphors with food, because usually I try to make them with soccer, because people usually link them better, but food is way better because food is way more related with life. Actually, it's water, like water, food, dancing. Those are like the key elements for us to get along. We may not talk, but if we eat and drink water and we dance, we may find a common ground. Yeah. If you think about clubbing or festivals, people may be talking, but they sound like birds, because you don't get out of what is being said. It's just like, and you dance, you eat, you smile, and that's it. So yeah, I definitely like the food connection, because it all starts with you eating most of the times. And I remember being a kid and my aunt being like in the kitchen cooking, and she would be listening to mostly Angolan music and club music that she would get from clubs. She would go out and record and bring them back. And so I was not into that music at the time. And even on that particular food, because it was like, I don't know, funge, like a very type of fufu that it's almost like good to make construction sites. But when you are a kid, it's like, it's ugly, it's gray, it doesn't look like proper food. You want hamburgers and stuff that you see on the TV. But then, also on that moment of eating, there was this need, like something that I could not think about. I was just 6, 5, 4, eventually 3 when I got my first drum, and I needed to do something more than just hanging around. And so my child memories are usually of me observing, always getting this cousin to talk with him and comment on what I was saying, and having a laugh about it for some reason. So we were laughing all the time. The adults usually refer to that moment as weird, because it was just 2 kids growing up, always like So we had fun observing, and then at some point I started pushing this cousin and other cousins to do stuff, and that stuff could be just walking around naked, or I don't know, confronting adults, or just making a theater piece, or making cover versions, or even our own songs, playing whatever we could find. So yeah, that's my best press release, because I didn't have any plan. I didn't know what the hell was the consequence of that. And so I was already that I needed to be not necessarily manly. I just needed to be a person, and I needed to be involved with music and to communicate with people. And it was easier for me to do it like that than with just talking. So that's the main issue. And the food was always there. So when people would start eating, at some point we would find a way in the room, in whatever room, to make a kind of a stage or something. So that's the thing. That's the big thing. It's happiness, eating, communicating, and developing yourself in the most natural way, which was that one for me. So yeah, then I grew up with this family, always talking about somewhere else. Probably it's kind of typical migrational thing, but here there was this detail of independence and then civil war, so it was a bit more drastic. So we didn't came looking for a better future. We were running from war, and then we were always talking. They were always talking about going back. We will go back. We will. But this is not okay. This is too cold. This is too gray. People are not so reliable. The door is always open. You should have it. Should have it open, not closed. It was like all sorts of social commentary from them for, I don't know, maybe 6 years or till I was 10. Then they stopped talking. They started like most of the adults, they stopped talking about going back. And there was this moment where at school I would see myself as a kind of an outcast most of the times. I was too Doc Martens for surfer guys. I was too fluorescent for rockabillys. I was too nerdy for hip hop heads. I was too young for acid house music or something like that. But I was in love with all of it. I was deeply in love with all sorts of music that I could put my ears on. And I was in my room getting my mother's records and my stepfather's records, like fusion jazz stuff, and from my mother like R&B and more percussive stuff, because she was not from Luanda, she was from the outside, so she's the typical echoing drums in the night or something like the Toto song. She's the typical, she has that imaginary thing like I hear the drums echoing in the night, and I usually have that single with me, because when I do not know what to do on a DJ set, usually I just play it because it's so funny.
People love that song.
Yeah,
Everyone. No
it's
idea
like
why, but
if you like African music, I'm sure
yeah,
even if you text like on Google or YouTube, it still comes as the first.
It is the thing.
It is the thing about Africa. So usually I have this thing, because it's funny because they have never been there, and for some reason I always heard the song like I left my brains down in Africa, because that's how I heard the song, because I thought that was what they were saying, like we left our, that's how I always heard the song.
It actually rains.
So that's how I usually heard the song. So I grew up like that, and so there was a moment where I was like, okay, so I have to be careful, especially as a kid, with weird words that I use sometimes, because at home they are very normal, but in school it's like, what do you mean? It's like, okay, oh, so you are a retornado, or I don't know, something like Portuguese coming back. No, I was never here. Yeah, but your fathers, no, they were never here. Oh, but I'm sure your family are part of it. Sorry. Oh, so okay, you are weird. Like so in a good way, in a good day, I would get along with everyone. On a bad day, I wouldn't think I would fit anywhere. So I would go back to my room and I would just dance alone with my phones and listen to all sorts of stuff. I would listen a lot to the radio. Radio was my web browsing for so many years. I would just like look for radios, look for outside radios. I would record stuff. I'm getting chills because it was really important for me, that the radio statics. I started buying vinyls with radio jingles to do my own tapes and my own radio collages at home. So it was kind of a double Steinsky meets Yannick Chevalier or something like that record. Yeah, like with big voice, like 10, 9, and then something would start. So I had tapes like that. I'm not sure where they are now, but I had tapes and singles and vinyls and blah blah blah. So that was my thing, and I only had my room when I was 10. So that was my first moment on having my space. So I created this idea. Okay, I will try to be myself and something that fits here. But it was hard, but I found a way. I was successful as a DJ when I was 18, but like really successful. Like 1,000 people would come. I would get a huge fee to play for those people. It's like, okay, so I know what you want. So I started like playing like more and more stuff that I would relate more. The crowd started like getting lower and lower, the fee lower, and I got to this point. So I started making videos and pictures and writing texts for musicians, friends, and helping them with opinions, and doing radio at the same time, programming radio, and doing everything I wanted on radio. I would do talk shows, I would do whatever people didn't want to do. If I thought like, we should do something about drum and bass, and people were like, oh, what do you mean? Okay, so I'll do it, and then one of you probably, that's the kind of thing I would do. Like, okay, so are you up to post rock? No, okay, so I'll start, and oh, now you like it, so pick it so I can move somewhere else. So that was my thing. And at some point, I started making the bazooka track. The first one was also the same thing. I was like, yeah, my fellow Angolans and friends here in Portugal and producers, they are not doing anything that really moves me in a way that is like social commentary or rhythmically different than other people are doing elsewhere. Like the patterns were different, the production was interesting, but at some point it was getting too much UK vibes, too much American vibes, and it's like, yeah, but there's this missing link. I'm sorry, it's probably personal. With when my family left their brains down, and I think I need to connect back there because I don't know what happened in the meantime, and nothing happened. Sembo was normalized. Angola was closed within herself. Being a woman within herself because there was a long-lasting civil war. So yeah, I started reconnecting even myself with going back there when the war ended. Started reconnecting, getting emotional about things that I didn't know exactly why was I emotional with it. And it was not a safari or a zebra. It was actually deep shit in the city. But then the sound of certain guitars, the type of singing, certain words, certain sentences that were always in my head. So yeah, I just did that track to provoke, and I got such a good feedback, like oh my god, blah 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 blah. And I was like, okay, fine, great. So I did a second one, and I did third, and then I'm here. So it was a big. At the same time, it's a big story. It goes back to having a meal, having people talking about identity, and you needing to contribute to that somehow. And so you bring your stupidity and your instincts, and that's it.
That's perfect. You know how to explain your story. Batida, more coming in just a bit. We're at WOMEX right now. Get it tuned to KEXP.